please don't shoot the messenger on this one. I am only reading a report. And that report is from a website called, this one, Football 365, but everybody is running with this at the moment. What am I talking about? Well, that is that Declan Rice has apparently pledged his future to Arsenal. Evidently, he said, don't worry, Arsenal, I'm going to sign for you. You are my club of choice for when I leave West Ham. Now, this was going to be a sort of transfer roundup video. I might get round to it, I might not. It depends how long we're talking about this Declan Rice situation for. I didn't know this was going to be the case before I started doing this video. But I've got to say, I'm pretty annoyed about it. Not because Declan Rice is choosing to leave West Ham or is going to leave West Ham. That's no news, right? We knew that was going to happen. I've accepted it. I understand his reasoning why. Not a problem at all. I think my problem with it is, I was going to say the fact it's been leaked. You know what? It might not have been Declan, it might not have been his side. It might be the Arsenal side. In fact, it probably is. It's not even that. I think my issue with it is that it completely weakens West Ham's negotiating position in terms of getting the best fee possible. And I think on this one, we're going to have to play hardball. Let me tell you what I've read today. It basically says West Ham midfielder Declan Rice has promised Arsenal that he's committed to joining them in the summer transfer window. It then goes on and there's a lot of platitudes about Declan Rice. But it then goes on to say, however, in recent weeks there's been a growing report that Arsenal are starting to emerge as the favourites to sign him. And Declan has been impressed with the nature of Mikel Arteta. Strange words there on that one. It says that Rice was favouring, inverted commas, a move to the Emirates Stadium and that the prospect of playing for Mikel Arteta was the main reason for his thinking. It is listen to this bit. It is understood. Now, I don't know whether this is... I'm just going to say this now before I read what I'm about to read. I didn't know if this is true or not. I'm just reading it. As I say, don't shoot the messenger. It's understood that Rice, inverted commas again, is very disenchanted with the situation under Moyes at West Ham, with the England star ready to pack his bags in the summer market. Well, just sounds like tabloid talk, that little bit there. But there's enough within that to make me concerned as a West Ham fan. Is he frustrated under Moyes? I suggest he is. Is that frustration, does that going to manifest itself in him leaving in the summer? That's it, I'm frustrated with Moyes, I'm leaving in the summer. You know what? David Moyes could have been good, bad or indifferent and Declan Rice would have left in the summer. It's not that point that I have an issue with. What we need at West Ham is a bidding war. So let's just look at where we are with Declan Rice's contractual situation. He's got the rest of this season, then his contract would run out. However, West Ham have the option to exercise basically an additional 2 years as a bolt-on at the end of the contract. Clearly, West Ham are going to do that. So realistically, Declan Rice has 2.5 years left on his West Ham contract. Now that gives us a level of security in terms of demanding the best fee possible. The ideal scenario that West Ham would like was that Chelsea would bid for Declan Rice. Not sure that's going to happen now. Apparently they are interested in Calçado. Is that how you say his name? Calçado? Calcado? I think it's Calçado. And also Fernandes. They're interested in these two players in midfield. And Fernandes was obviously really impressive for Portugal in the World Cup. So maybe, just maybe, they've ditched their interest in Declan Rice. That was always a story, wasn't it? Declan's going to go to Chelsea. He was at Chelsea's academy. They released him. That's why he ended up at West Ham. He's going to go and play with his best mate, Mason Mount. OK, so that looks less likely. But in an ideal situation, Chelsea are bidding for him. Manchester United are bidding for him. Liverpool, I was sort of hopeful that they might. I don't know what's going to happen with those, what's happening in the Fenway group at Liverpool. It's harder to say, really, isn't it? It does appear that they've been hedging their bets with recruiting Jude Bellingham, who don't get me wrong, I think Jude Bellingham is the midfielder to go and get. I think he would be most people's first choice. Absolutely wonderful player. Not that Declan Rice isn't, by the way. I'm not saying that, not for a moment. However, I guess a lot of that's going to depend on if Liverpool can pick their form up, whether they get Jude Bellingham. You never know. Maybe they come back in for Declan Rice. But ideally Liverpool, Man City as well. Man City, Calvin Phillips not really worked out, has it? So, but it's clear that Pep Guardiola sees that as an important position in his club. You look, Rodri's come in from Atletico Madrid. He's done very well. But I think, certainly Fernandinho's long-term replacement was going to be Calvin Phillips. Doesn't look like that's going to be the case unless things rapidly sort themselves out. So maybe Man City are interested in Declan Rice. That's what we wanted. You'll know, if you're a regular watcher of this channel, I've never subscribed to the theory that West Ham are going to get 120 million for Declan Rice. I really don't. I've been saying numerous times this season we'd be lucky to get 20 million. However, sorry, not 20 million, 100 million. 100 million. We'd be lucky to get 100 million. However, I do think that if the bidding started at 70 million, the more people that come in, the better. You get it. Arsenal come in with a low ball offer at 70 million. Chelsea say, well, hold on, we're interested at that price. We'll come in at 75, and on it goes. It basically builds up. If all he's doing now, if what he's saying is I'm going to Arsenal, I have pledged my allegiance to you, I'm committed to joining Arsenal. What was the top thing? What did it say? Again, the very start of the article, he's promised Arsenal he's committed to joining them in the summer. Well, that just makes it easy for Arsenal, doesn't it? Because what that means is Arsenal can say, there you go, West Ham, there's your 70 million. And it doesn't actually matter if Chelsea come in with 75. Rice can say, I'm not going. Man United come in with 80. It doesn't matter what Ten Hag wants to do. I'm going to pair you with Casemiro. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. I've promised that I'm going to join Arsenal. So Arsenal's bid. So in the end, we basically get, slightly differently of course, but we get a Dimitri Payet situation where it doesn't matter. The player wants to leave. The player's said that he wants to join Marseille. Payet, not Declan Rice. So we have to accept whatever they are going to offer. Really, really bad for West Ham. I think at this point, if that happens, then West Ham do have to play hardball. And what I mean by that is West Ham have to say, look, we've got two options. We're either going to sell you at the price that we want to, and I think be realistic. Don't go for 120 million, but 70 is too low. I think you have to say to Declan, look, if Arsenal are not going to give us, are not going to pay your valuation, then we can't sanction the deal. We want to sell you to this club or that club. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not suggesting that we sell him to North Pole Rovers or, Antarctica Wanderers or wherever. You'd have to sell him to the far-flung corners of the earth. It can't be the biggest hardship in the world to go and play for Manchester United and live in Manchester. So, it's rumoured that possibly Newcastle might be interested. But I do think if it gets to the point where West Ham are being lowballed to such an extent that the only offer on the table is a £70 million by Arsenal, and assuming, and this is a hell of an assumption because I'm not sure, assuming we're not relegated, where is the incentive for West Ham to sell Declan Rice? Because I'm not seeing one. I'm not. I think Declan is a really professional player. Declan is not all about money at all. I think he's shown that. I mean, if it's all about money, last 3 years he could have been much higher wages at West Ham. However, I think at 70 million, I think you get the same amount for money. We're looking at 2.5 years on the contract. You know what? 70 million, I think you get that with him having a 1.5 year on the contract. My point being, I think you keep him. And I think that has to be what's demonstrated. Otherwise, Arsenal are just going to bully West Ham. I mean, Arsenal are bullying everybody anyway at the moment, both in the way that they're playing their fantastic football and in the way that their manager is conducting himself on the touchline, the way the players are. It's they're a club with their pecker up, Newcastle at the moment, and they would not be adverse to trying to get Declan Rice on the cheap. It's really important that West Ham don't let that happen. And that's why I think I'm disappointed with this story. That's why I'm disappointed with this messaging. If it was just whatever they were called, who were they? What are they called? Football 365. It was just Football 365 reporting it. No problem. But it's not. There's a lot of people, a lot of newspapers, a lot of websites now reporting that Declan's chosen destination is Arsenal. And I tell you what, if I know about it and you know about it, then Arsenal certainly know about it. So I would like to see us. There's a media game at play here as well. So I think this is the first amount of messaging that we've got out there. We don't really need to be playing this. We're meant to be fighting relegation. We could do without this being out there, as I say. But it's probably Arsenal that's leaked it. But if what they're going to do is they're going to play the media game, then I think we let it be known very, very quickly that actually exactly what I said. Do you know what? At 70 million, it's not worth doing. We'll keep him. Well, we'll keep him. We'll keep him for another season. Because I think, why not? Because actually, you get to that point and then maybe the landscape has changed slightly. But I do think it's really important to not only call Arsenal's bluff, but to call Declan Rice's bluff on this. And I like him. I don't blame him for moving. I don't blame him for being frustrated with David Moyes. None of it. And I think I wouldn't even blame him for thinking, well, you know what? West Ham got me for free. They've had years of service out of me. You know, I'm doing them a favour, really, by them getting 70 million. And I'd sort of make him right. However, it is, it's going to say football clubs or shop owners, anyone's prerogative to sell an item that they have for market value. And £70 million for Declan Rice just isn't market value. A lot of people make the comparison with Jack Grealish. Okay, fine. I don't think it's a brilliant comparison, but because they're totally different players. But I get it. I get it. Jack Grealish was the main man at Aston Villa. It was the record-breaking fee, £100 million fee, but it was slightly different because that was his buyout clause. We're not in a position to put a buyout clause on Declan because he wouldn't sign the contract. Apparently he wanted to, he wouldn't sign the contract. I absolutely get it. But I'll tell you now, if there was a straight choice between selling Declan right now, in the summer for 70 million, and 70 million was all we were going to get, and waiting until the next summer and selling him for 70 million. It doesn't even have to be 70 million. It could be 60 million. Almost did it again. 60 million a year later. I mean, it's a no-brainer. Got to play hardball on this one.